When that crazy woman started screaming and all those people jumped on top of her, another crazy woman came up from behind me and put her hand over my mouth. I yelled through her hand, but you guys must not have heard me. Hello, you are listening to In My Words. The book I am reading from is titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles. This book is not intended for young readers. After each reading session, I will show or discuss a various topic of interest. Leaving a comment will help my videos get noticed more and allow other people to view them. Also, purchasing one or all three of my books will be very helpful. My newest book is out, titled The Sensitives. You can find it at Amazon.com under The Sensitives by D.A. Riles. Thank you for your time and consideration. Grandma? Sarah nearly screamed. Grandma gave Sarah a stern look. Scott is gone. What do you mean Scott's gone? Grandma rebuked. I don't see him anywhere. Sarah's body started to tremble. Many thoughts went through her mind as she wondered where Scott could have gone. Grandpa turned around and started looking. He seemed much more concerned than Grandma. Olga, Philip said to his wife, stay here with Sarah and Violet while I go look for Scott. Philip's words were filled with concern and authority. Olga started to complain to her husband, but he silenced her quickly with a menacing look, saying, Keep her with you. I want to look for Scott. With those parting words, Grandpa left the room. Grandpa looked a very long time for his grandson. It had been over an hour before Grandpa and Scott returned to the room. Neither said anything upon entering. Scott went and sat next to Sarah. The little sister wanted to ask questions, but knew she would have to wait. Later that day, Scott told Sarah exactly what happened. Having the long drive back, he now had plenty of time to tell his younger sister his tales of woe. Scott began his story. When that crazy woman started screaming and all those people jumped on top of her, another crazy woman came up from behind me and put her hand over my mouth. I yelled through her hand, but you guys must not have heard me. Sarah nodded as she said, feeling a little guilty for not hearing his cries for help. I'm sorry, Scott. There were so many people making noise. Yeah, I know, Scott agreed, also in hushed tones, feeling a little bit downhearted. The two were sharing deep, dark secrets about their lives, mutually agreeing that they didn't like many of the events that take place around them. Sarah added, If I'd heard you, I would have told Grandma, she said apologetically. I'm so sorry. With a brief pause, the young sister added, I really hate that place, and it scares me. That's okay. I know you would have said something if you knew. He touched his little sister on her shoulder, letting her know that he believed her. Then he continued, When she got me in the room, guess what she tried to do? He exclaimed with jittery frenziness. Sarah had many horrifying images fly through her mind and tried to block them out, waiting for Scott to continue. She tried to breastfeed me, the older brother exclaimed. The little sister's eyes flew wide open, and her mouth dropped and her nose crinkled. A small squeak came from her lips. Were you scared? She asked with wonder. A little, but I kept fighting with her until Grandpa came in. The little sister's interest piqued as she said, How did he find you? I don't know. Maybe he heard me yelling after she took her hand off my mouth. Oh, was all Sarah could say. I'm glad he found you before anything more happened. Yeah, me too. The drive back to their grandparents' house went by quickly that night as the two consoled each other as they shared the fears of their tormented lives. By the time they reached Grandma's house, they were exhausted and glad that they were finally able to go to bed. Sarah's birthday was upon her. Thinking Grandma would bake a cake for her, Sarah waited throughout the day. She knew that Dad had asked Grandma to make her a cake, but Grandma never did. Feeling a little sad as the day progressed, Sarah tried to ignore the feeling that persisted. Mom and Dad weren't there, and no one had even said happy birthday. Night finally came, and Sarah walked over to the urine-stained couch, which had been opened for her and Sissy to sleep on. Sitting down, she put her hands in her lap and looked down at them. Self-pity crossed over her. However, within a short moment, George came to the room. "Why'd you look so sad, Sary?" Sarah looked up at her uncle and shrugged her shoulders. Touching his niece gently on the back of one of her hands, which were placed in her lap, "Open this hand." Sarah turned her right hand over and presented her open palm to her uncle. "Close your eyes," he said softly. Sarah closed her eyes. The birthday girl felt something small being placed in her right hand. "Keep your eyes shut," he said nicely. "Now open your other hand, but keep your eyes shut, okay?" Sarah nodded and opened her other hand. Again she felt something small being placed in her hand. "Okay, now open your eyes." Looking at the palms of her hands, a broad smile crossed over her lips. "This one," he said as he pointed to Sarah's right hand, "is from me. This one," now pointing to her left hand, "is from Violet." A shy grin came to the birthday girl's face as she said with true happiness, "Thank you, Uncle George." Only pausing for a moment, she added, "Would you tell Violet thank you also?" Nodding, he patted Sarah's head, saying, "Happy birthday. Now don't spend it all in one place." A soft smile passed over his face as he walked into the hallway. Sarah wanted to say more to her uncle, for she really cared about him. But he had left so quickly, he didn't give her the time to. Besides, she knew that George was a man of few words, but his actions spoke volumes. Sarah smiled down happily at the 2 dimes which she held in her hands. For the young child, it was a great deal of money, and she wanted to save it. But someone else would have a different idea. Sarah was so happy that someone remembered her birthday, and George was always nice to her. He always treated her with kindness. Plus, she liked the nickname he had given her. It always felt as if he was saying it as an endearment. What seemed like only moments later, Sissy came to the room and saw her sister with the money. "Where'd you get that from?" She pointed accusingly at the money clutched in her sister's little hands. "George and Violet gave it to me for my birthday." "No, they didn't," Sissy replied in disbelief. "Yes, they did," Sarah defended. "Why?" Sissy was suspicious of her little sister, wondering why she would receive a gift from her aunt and uncle. "I don't know, 'cause it's my birthday. But Violet isn't here, so how did you get it from her?" "Did you steal it?" Sissy said challengingly. "No, George gave it to me from her," Sarah replied in defense. Sarah hated it when people would blame her for something she didn't do, and now even her sister was doing it. Sissy didn't believe her, but added, "We can go buy some candy with it tomorrow," the older sister said eagerly. "I want to save it," Sarah replied meekly. "I want some candy," Sissy persisted. "Don't you love me?" The elder sister was trying to guilt her little sister into doing something she really didn't want to do. So what could Sarah do? Although the sisters' relationship was a rocky one, they were still sisters. To Sarah, that meant she had to do what was told of her. Sarah placed the 2 dimes in her sock and went to bed. The next day, Sissy and she went to the store and spent all of Sarah's birthday money on candy. Sarah felt defeated. "Doesn't anyone care about how I feel?" she wondered. 2 days after Sarah's birthday, Mom and Dad came back to pick up their children. Sarah didn't like it that they had missed her birthday, but never said anything about the hurt she felt. Please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to having you join me again next time, where I will show another topic, and I will continue to read from the book titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles, which you can purchase from Amazon.com. My newest book is out, titled The Sensitives. You can find it at Amazon.com under The Sensitives by D.A. Riles. Thank you for having joined me.